Hello students, my name is Dr. Jyoti Prakash and I am Assistant Professor in the Department of Management, School of Management Sciences, Lucknow. Now welcome you all to the video lecture that is based on the topic Employee Incentive Scheme. So let us start discussion on the particular topic. The term incentive means an inducement that motivates or stimulates one to action in desired direction. Obviously, it is one of the motivating factor which somehow influence or motivate an employee or an individual to work in a better way or to give more productivity into the organization. And incentives are variable rewards granted according to the level of achievement on a specific result. So, incentives are basically variable in nature. Why it is so? Because it depends on one individual to another, means how much effort one individual is able to give in attainment of the given target. Means obviously, if one has achieved the given target and one is not, so obviously that good performer is able to get that particular incentive. So, that is why it is called it is variable in nature. And ILO basically refers and define incentives as payment by result. Means if an employee or being an individual, if you have given result, so obviously you are able to get that payment, that named is what? Incentive. And in the other word of Venkat Raman and Srivastava, a wage incentive scheme is a method of payment for work of an acceptable quality produced over and above a specified quantity or standard. As I told, as we have discussed in the previous video, that before expecting a good performance to the employee, firstly the organization basically communicate a standard or communicate a given target to the individual one, and that individual is expected to achieve that target. So, if after a completion of that time period, if the individual has achieved that given target and beyond that given target, so obviously that individual is able to get that variable reward that named is what? Incentive. So, in totality we can understood that incentives are what? Incentives are the variable result given by the employer on the basis of the performance that the employees are giving in the organization. If the performance is good or beyond the expectation, obviously incentives are provided by the organization. So, what can be the characteristic of a sound incentive plan? So, these are the characteristics, like incentives are based on standards fixed for job performances. So, like a given target, like you have to achieve 100% target, means after completion of that time period, that individual has achieved 120% of target. So, obviously that 100% is basically a standard. If that a standard is achieved and beyond that standard, obviously incentive will be given to the individual. They are linked to be performance. Obviously, if the work performance is good, if you are performing well, then obviously you are eligible to get that incentive, that variable reward, and if you are not, so obviously you are not eligible. They should motivate employee. If an employee is performing well and time to time he or she is getting a reward, that variable reward named incentives, obviously that variable reward motivating employees or motivating individual to work more and give more productivity into the organization. And they should be measurable in monetary terms, means incentives are basically given in monetary terms. So, obviously if money is received by the individual in return of the reward that they in return of the performance that they have given in the organization, so obviously it should be measurable in terms of money. What can be the essential features of a sound incentive plan? Like guaranteed minimum wages. Simple, it should be simple, need not require so much of complex calculation. Equitable means all those are good performers, they all are eligible to get that same amount in the form of incentive. Economical means the organization should fix or determine or announce that level of incentive that should be means under the pocket or beyond the capability or the capacity of the organization. Flexible, it can be changed, means incentive plan can be changed as per the scenario, as per the change found in the scenario, or as per the expectation or as per the performance of the employee. Support means whatever the incentive plan has been determined by the human resource manager, it should be supported by the top management or the decision maker of the organization. Our incentive plan should be like that. It should motivate employee to work better. It should be prompt, means if that employee has achieved the target, that promptly, or means without any delay, that individual should be rewarded or given that variable reward, and it is basically beneficial to both the employee and the employer. Employee, why employee? Because he or she is getting reward in terms in return of the more productivity or good performance, and for employer, because by providing or by giving incentive to the employees, they are trying to motivate employees, and they are just having a motivated human resource pool. So, in any situation arise in future time period or in any in coming time, so their human resources are able to tackle those situations. So, these are the essential features. So, the next question, based on types of incentive schemes, these incentive schemes are divided in two. The first one is individual incentive plan, and second one is a group incentive plan, or we can say that schemes. The individual incentive plan is also of two types, based on time and based on productivity. Based on time is totally based on the consideration, the prime factor or the prominent factor is time, means how early or how means within the time frame, if the individual has achieved the given targets, obviously that individual is eligible to get the incentive. And based on productivity is how much the work is being done by the employee or by the individual, that in that case these methods basically gives a picture or gives an idea to the human resource manager, means how incentive is being determined to given to the employees. And the group incentive plans are like this Priestman profit sharing scale and plan. So, just have a discussion on these methods one by one. So, individual plan, it may be either time based or production based, as I told earlier, that under time based plan, our standard time is fixed for doing the job. A worker is said to be efficient if he or she completes the job in time or before the time. So, in that case he or she is eligible to get that variable reward by the employer or by the organization. So, the time based individual incentive plans are like Halsey, Rowan, Emerson and Bedeaux plan. So, just have a discussion like Halsey plan. Under this plan, minimum wages are guaranteed to every worker, or a standard time is fixed for the worker if a worker finishes the work, and if the workers finish the work before the standard time, they are eligible to give incentive or bonus, but no penalty if they fails to do that. And determine how the total wages is determined under Halsey plan, like the given formula, total wages is T into R plus 50% of S minus T multiplied by R. So, what are these? S T is what? Time taken, R is for rate of wages, and S is for the standard time already fixed for completion of a particular time, and T is what? The time taken, and R obviously the rate. Here is an example given, and we will see that how total wages is being determined. So, standard time that is given by the organization is for completion of particular task, that is 15 hours. Time taken by an individual or by an employee is 10 hours, and rate of wages decided by the company, that is 10 rupees per hour. So, bonuses will be what? Wages of 50% of the time save. So, time save is what? Total wages, all the values put into the formula, like total wages is time taken is how much? 10 hours, and rate of wages is 10 rupees per hour plus 50% of the time saved. How time save? Means standard time is 15 and actual time taken is 10, means 5 hours is saved by an employee or by an individual. So, 15 minus 10 multiplied by 10. So, overall total wages that should be given to a worker or that should be given to an employee, that is all about 125 rupees. So, it is the formula that is used under this particular plan. The next one is Rowan plan. It also guarantees the minimum wages and does not penalize the slow workers. In this also the standard time is fixed and the bonus is paid on the basis of time saved. Means in earlier method we have seen that the actual time taken, and in this method we have seen that how much time that individual has saved. So, the formula is something different from the first one. Total wages is T into R plus T into R, time saved divided by time standard time. So, T is obviously the time taken, as in the earlier method we have seen. R is rate of wages T time taken, R is wages, and time saved means how much time saved. In the example we have seen that 15 hours is standard time and the time taken by an individual is 10 hours. So, time saved is what? 5 hours that individual has saved out. So, by putting all the values into a formula like 10 into 10 plus 10 into 10 into time saved, how much? 15 minus 10, 5 divided by standard time, how much standard time is fixed by the organization, that is 15 hours. So, after calculating or after going to the formula, the value is rupees 133.33. So, it is the total wage is determined by the human resource manager or by the organization, if that organization is using this particular plan for getting an idea about the incentive or about the total wages for the employee. The next one is Emerson plan. In this plan, minimum wages are guaranteed to the workers. Efficiency is measured on the basis of comparison of actual performance with the standard fixed. So, under this method, if the efficiency is 100%, then bonus will be paid at 20% and above 100% bonus at 30% would be paid. Means if standard, if that individual or if any individual has achieved the given standard, so obviously that individual is eligible to get in the form of bonus 20% of the overall productivity, and if that individual has achieved beyond the given standard, so 30% would be paid. Thus, efficient worker will be rewarded at the increasing rate with the increase in the saving time. Obviously, in the second line we have seen that if that individual has achieved 100% of given standard, so obviously that the rate of percentage is obviously 20%, and if if any individual has achieved above the given target above 100%, so obviously that individual will give more than 20%, means 30%. So, obviously this plan basically motivates good performers to maintain their pace or maintain their productivity, so that they just get more return or more reward by the organization. The next one is Bedeaux plan. The Bedeaux plan is an incentive scheme in which the standard time for the completion of a job is fixed and the rate per hour is also defined. Each time of the standard time is called a Bedeaux, such as in 1 hour there are 60 Bedeaux Bs, and generally the bonus paid to the worker is 75% of the wages of for the time saved. So, example is like means just take an example like standard time is 360 Bedeaux means 6 hours 60 minutes, means as in the second you have seen that 1 hour there are 60. So, 360 Bedeaux means 6 hours and 60, actual time taken 300, wages rate 10 rupees per hour. So, value of time saved is how much? 360 minus 300 divided by 60 multiplied by 10. So, value of time saved is rupees 10. So, total wages by keeping all the values in the formula like 6 into 10 plus 75 by 100 multiplied by 10. So, total wages by using this particular plan is rupees 67.5. So, now the next method come under individual incentive plan is like based on production. So, these are basically the different methods like Taylor, Merrick and Gantt plan. So, just have a discussion one by one on these methods. Like Taylor differential piece rate system is under the standard workload for every worker on the basis of the time and motion studies determined. He gave 2 piece rate for the workers, the lower rate for the average worker and less efficient worker who produces less than standard production, and the higher piece rate for above average or efficient workers. So, the efficient workers are paid more than the inefficient worker. Like here an example we see that standard production is like 40 units in a day, wages rate between 60 to 70 rupees, because incentive we have seen that it is a variable reward. So, how reward is being fixed? If the worker produces 40 units in a day, so he will be paid 40 into 70 means the high 40 into 70 means the higher rate will be used in rewarding the efforts of that individual who produces the 40 units means the standard unit, and if the worker produces 30 units in a day, he will be paid 30 into 60 means 180, means he or she will be paid because they are not achieving that standard production. So, it is all about Taylor method. The second one is Merrick multiple piece rate plan. So, under this plan there are 3 grade piece rate rather than 2 given by the tailor. Means the first one is workers who produce less than 83% are paid basic piece rate. The second one is workers who produce between 83 to 100% are paid 110% of basic piece rate, and the third one is workers who produces more than 110% paid 120% of the basic. So, obviously if you see these 3 plans, obviously these plans basically motivates the good performers to maintain their pace or maintain their productivity in the same manner. Means if they are contributing or if they have been contributing a lot, so they should be maintained that pace or that rate should be maintained by that individual, so that they can get good reward or good percentage of reward by the organization. But this particular method has a limitation, like if you see that less than 83%. So, like below all are treated like, means like 1 to 82% or 83% performers are treated like same, but in if we see that they are not same in terms of performance, but under this plan they all are treated like same. Means if one is performing 80% and one has achieved 50% of the production. So, obviously they all are same, they all are treated same, and they all are eligible to get that same percentage, like the same percentage in the same manner, and they all are treated in the same. But it is not like that. We all must understood that the percentage is the 50% is obviously less than 82% or 80%. So, obviously those individual who has or who have achieved basically 80% and they are treated like 50%. So, obviously it creates a partial or it creates a basically a sense of dissatisfaction among those one, because they are not treated fairly by the organization. So, it is one of the plan based on production, means how much work or how much units or how much production you have done by contributing your efforts in the organization. The next plan based on production is Gantt bonus plan. Under this method, minimum wages are guaranteed. If the worker fails to complete the task within the standard time, he or she receives only the wages for the actual time spent at the specified rate. But if or she completes the task within time, he or she gets extra wages. So, how is it possible and how is being done by the human resource manager or by the organization? So, for having an understanding, I have taken the example. An example is like standard time is 10 hours, rate is rupees 8 per hour, bonus 24% of the standard time, and like it is the solution, like if the worker finishes the job within 8 hours, he or she will get rupees 80. 80 means standard time multiplied by rate, means 10 into 8, 80 plus 25% of the standard time, and 25% of the standard time is how much? 80. 80 multiplied by 25%, that is 20, that means total 80 plus 20 means 100 rupees. So, he or she will get bonus for working 8 more hours. So, it is all about a plan based on the production, and it is somehow ensures the minimum wages, means all the workers either they are performing good or either they are giving something in the achievement of the goal of the organization, they all must be compensated. And and if some of the employees and some of the worker are doing well or giving more productivity, more efforts in the attainment of the goal of the organization, so obviously they will be rewarded for this extra effort that they are putting into the organization. So, it is all about Gantt bonus plan, and it is come under individual incentive plan, and it is based on production. The next incentive plan is what? Group incentive plan. Under this method, group bonus is given instead of individual bonus. Obviously, group incentive plan means it under this plan, the performance of group is being measured or being taken care of by the human resource manager or by the organization, and the bonus is distributed among all the employees or among all the members of a particular group in the same manner. on the basis, on certain basis, on different basis. That basis obviously will be determined by the organization, or criteria will be obviously vary from one firm to another. And under this plan, these are basically some of the methods. Like the first method is Priestman plan. Under this method, bonus is increased in proportion to increase in output. Then the sentence that has been written against the Priestman plan is already clear by, if you see the statement that bonus will be given in such a ratio, or in such ratio, the ratio basically whatever the output or whatever the production has shown, the ratio, the same ratio will be given to the employees in the form of bonus. Means in totality we can understand that if the company has achieved a good ratio of profit or a high ratio of profit, and achieved a good productivity after completion of certain time period, or after completing a certain task. So, that ratio of profit, that same ratio of profit and that same amount of productivity should be distributed to all the employees of the organization in the same manner, in the form of variable reward, or we can say that incentive or bonus, so that you can give, or and by doing so, being a human resource manager or being one organization, you are giving a sense to your employees that they have been acknowledged and they have been given this much of bonus. Why? Because the organization has achieved this much of percentage and this much of high profit of ratio because of their efforts, because of their contribution, because of their skill set. So, obviously they should they should be given that much of sense, so that they feel motivated and they work in very efficient and effective manner, and they should maintain that level of productivity, and they just help out the organization in achieving that goal or the objective. The next method come under group incentive plan is profit sharing method. Under this method, increased profit is shared among the workers and managers as agreed between both the parties. Means profit sharing method, the name itself refers that if the organization is able to achieve that ratio of profit and the determined profit, so obviously that profit will be shared. The name itself is sharing, means shared among whom? So, obviously among those who are basically who are the one through which, or because of them, the organization has achieved that level of productivity or that level of profit. So, that if the organization has achieved that set profit or that forecasted or that determined profit, that profit must be distributed in the same manner to all the worker and the worker and the managers, or among all the parties of the organization as agreed upon. Means this agreement has done earlier between all the parties of the organization. So, it is also come under group incentive plan. And the third one is Scalene plan. Under this method, bonus is paid in the proportion of if the production has achieved or raised by 1%, so that employees or the workers are also eligible to get that one level of 1% of increase in their bonus too. So, these are basically some of the references. You just go through and just get more idea about the given topic. I hope you will like this video. Thank you, students.